Hey friends! Tonight we are slipping into something ancient and a little glamorous. Dim those lights nice and low. Pull the covers up high. Because we are heading to the dusty coast of Peru in the year 2024 when a bunch of archaeologists cracked open a forgotten tomb and found a teenage girl who looked like she just stepped off a 3,000-year-old red carpet. Lady Ink, they called her. 15 going on influencer icon. Skin still soft enough to touch. Black eyeliner sharp as a fresh blade. Lips painted that perfect berry red that never goes out of style. And tattoos. Oh, the tattoos. Over 30 of them swirling across her arms and back in geometric patterns that could trend on TikTok tomorrow. Of course she had them. Why show up to the afterlife without your full face and full ink? Let us ease back to the beginning when the world was all reed boats and cotton fields along the Mocha River Valley. This is Chimu country. Around 1200 AD, before the Incas came marching in with their roads and their rules. The Chimu are building cities out of mud bricks taller than your house. Chan, the biggest adobe city ever. Walls painted with waves and birds and serpents that seem to move when the sun hits them just right. They worship the moon more than the sun because the moon is quieter, more forgiving. And down by the sea where the fog rolls in thick every morning, the high priestesses are running the show. Not kings, not warriors. Women with faces like carved shells and bodies marked with stories only they can read. Enter our girl, born somewhere around 1209. We do not know her name because names were for the living, and she was always meant for more. Her family is elite. Mothers and aunts who whisper to the moon and make the fishermen bring double the catch. From the time she could walk, she is learning the lines. Not just any lines. Sacred ones. Spirals that mean the sea turning inward. Zigzags like lightning frozen in skin. Dots and dashes that count the phases of the moon. The tools are simple. Cactus spines dipped in soot and spit. Gold needles for the fine work, because even 3,000 years ago you splurge on the good stuff. She sits for hours under the thatched roof while her aunt pricks the patterns into her brown skin. No anesthesia. Just chants and salt water to clean the blood. It hurts like fire, but she does not cry, because the ink is power. The ink is forever. By 13, she is the one holding the spines. Tattooing the younger girls in the temple courtyard. The ones chosen for the moon. They line up quiet and still while she works the lines into their arms. Matching sets. Identical patterns because this is a cult now. Her cult. Lady Ink and her 27 little shadows. All teenagers, all marked the same. Geometric dreams that will travel north to Mexico centuries later when the traders carry the idea like a secret. She is the original. The one who made the lines means something more than decoration. Status. Protection. A map to the stars that only the inked can read. Life is good for a while. She has a mirror. Not glass. Pyrite. Polished so smooth it fools the sun into giving back your face without mercy. The size of an iPhone. Small enough to hide in your skirts, but big enough to check your work. She stares into it every morning, tracing the fresh lines with her finger. Then the makeup, black from crushed beetles mixed with resin. Smudged just so under the eyes to make them endless. Red from cochineal bugs crushed into oil. Painted on lips that smile like they know the moon is listening. She practices poses in the courtyard, hand on hip. Chin tilted. The other girls copy her, of course they do. She is the trend. The one who makes the priests nod and the fishermen stare. But here's the snarky twist. Beauty is work even in the afterlife. Around 15, she decides the nose needs fixing. Not broken, not crooked, just not perfect enough for eternity. The healers agree. They bring out the obsidian blades, sharp as regret. One wrong slip, and the blood comes hot and fast. The CT scans 3,000 years later show it clear as day. The blade nicked something vital, an artery maybe. Or the thin wall between life and whatever comes next. She bleeds out on the temple floor, surrounded by her gold needles and her half-finished tattoos. The girls scream soft because screaming loud offends the moon. The priests wrap her quick. Linen strips soaked in resin. Face untouched because why ruin the look? They paint her lips one last time. Smudge the liner just so. Then they bury her deep in the tomb they dug months ago just in case. The 27 servants go in with her. Not killed. Chosen. They knew the job when they got the ink. All matched. All 15 or so. Folded into the walls like offerings to keep her company. The mirror goes in her hand. The tools beside her. The tomb seals with a stone slab carved with her patterns. Spirals and zigzags that will wait under the sand until the world forgets how to read them. Fast forward 700 years. Spanish boots stomping through. Incas gone. Chimu a whisper in history books. The tomb stays hidden under a rice field or a cow path or whatever the land turns into when people stop building. Mud bricks crumble. Adobe walls melt back to earth. The moon keeps rising fat and silver over the waves, but no one is watching anymore. Then 2024. A team from the University of Trujillo is poking around Huaca de la Luna because why not? The site is a mess of old digs and new rains. They are mapping a side chamber no one noticed before. A low mound that looks like nothing. They brush away the sand and there it is. The slab, carved with lines that make the lead archaeologist drop her trowel. They crack it open slow, flashlights cutting the dark. And there she is. Lady Ink, sitting up straight like she just woke from a nap. Skin leathery, but soft in the dry air. Face perfect. Eyeliner blacker than midnight. Lips red as fresh blood. The tattoos glowing under the beam like they were inked yesterday. The team freezes. One whispers Virgin Maria. Another starts filming on her phone because this is not in the manual. They call in the experts. CT scans in a truck that smells like diesel and old coffee. The scans spin her story out in slices. The nose job gone wrong. The blade mark clean and fatal. The servants tucked around her like dolls in a diorama. All inked the same. All staring at the walls with empty eyes. Word leaks because word always leaks. The papers call her the tattooed teen. The TikTok kids go wild. Look at those lines. #ancient glow up. #Lady Ink lives. Scholars argue, was she a priestess? A sacrifice? The first influencer in a world without filters. They scan the tattoos with lasers and find the patterns match ones in Aztec codices 800 miles north. She started it. Her cult. Her lines. Spreading like ink in water before the Incas even dreamed of empire. Now she sits in a climate box in Lima. Mirror in her lap. Needles beside her. The 27 girls wait in storage wrapped careful because even servants deserve dignity. Scientists say the makeup held because of the resin. The skin because of the dry. The tattoos because she willed them too. Geometric dreams that outlasted kings and conquerors. Spirals that say the sea turns but we stay marked. And every full moon the guards swear the case fogs up just a little. Like breath on pyrite. Like someone checking her lines one last time before the show starts. The first time the world truly sees her face is July 17, 2024, 9:03 p.m. Lima time. A junior conservator named Camila forgets to lock the lab door after hours in a Reuters. Photographer slips in with a press badge that definitely should not have worked. One flash. One perfect shot. Lady Ink sitting on the steel table under soft LED lights. Black eyeliner wings sharp enough to cut glass. Lips parted just enough to show the tip of a tongue still red from cochineal. The photo hits X at 9:12. By 9:30, it is the most shared image on the planet. TikTok explodes. Teens in Seoul, Lagos, Glasgow, São Paulo stitch videos side by side with their own fresh geometric ink. Caption the same in 100 languages. She did it first. #Lady Ink challenge trends for 72 straight hours. Tattoo parlors in Lima run out of black ink. A 15-year-old in Cusco gets the exact spiral from Lady Ink. Left forearm, and posts the healing process set to Chimu flute music remixed with reggaeton. 1 billion views in 4 days. Camila is fired, then quietly rehired because the museum's Instagram jumps from 40,000 to 4.2 million overnight. The director calls it the fastest accidental soft opening in archaeological history. They have no choice now. Lady Ink is awake, and the internet will not let her go back to sleep. They move her to the Museo Larco in Miraflores under 24-hour guard and climate control that costs more per month than most Peruvians earn in a year. Bulletproof glass. Nitrogen flush. UV filters. A small sign that simply says, Senorita Tinta Cultura Chima, Ca. 1200 to 1350 D. See no ropes. People can stand as close as they want. They do. They stand so close their breath fogs the glass and the guards have to wipe it every 10 minutes. Teenage girls press their palms to the case like they are trying to high-five across 8 centuries. Some leave lipstick prints in berry red. Some leave tiny origami moons. The cleaning staff stop removing them. The lipstick becomes part of the exhibit. The 27 servant girls stay in storage for now. Too fragile. Too many. But high-resolution scans go online and the pattern-matching algorithms go wild. Same spiral on the forearm. Same zigzag lightning across the shoulder blades. Same dotted crescent under the left eye. Identical. Chosen. Branded. The phrase "ancient girl gang" starts trending. Someone makes enamel pins of the dotted crescent. They sell out in 6 hours. Scientists fight over her nose. The obsidian cut is clean, deliberate, almost elegant until the final slip. Reconstructive surgeons in California 3D print the wound and argue for weeks. Was it rhinoplasty? Septoplasty? Purely aesthetic? They settle on high-risk cosmetic procedure performed without anesthesia or antibiotics by artists, who clearly knew anatomy but not limits. One plastic surgeon posts a tearful video. She just wanted to be perfect for eternity and paid the same price girls pay today. It gets 30 million views and starts a global conversation about beauty standards that politicians try and fail to shut down. The pyrite mirror becomes the second obsession. It is the size of a modern iPhone, edges worn smooth from centuries of fingers. When the lights hit it right, you can see her reflection still trapped inside. Eyeliner wings, red lips, the tiny scar on her chin, nobody noticed until the mirror showed it. Conservators swear the reflection is sharper than physics allows. They blame the polish. They blame the resin. They do not say the word ghost out loud, but they stop working alone in the lab after dark. Gold needles and cactus spines go on display beside her. The gold ones are so fine they look machine-made. Electron microscopy shows microscopic wear patterns. The exact same hand held them for years. Her hand. The cactus spines still have soot and blood in the grooves. DNA says the blood is hers, and at least 4 of the servant girls. They were learning on each other, practicing, perfecting. The pain was the tuition. A dermatologist from Seoul flies in on her own dime to study the ink. The black is charcoal and plant resin. The red is cochineal and something unidentified that glows faintly under UV. She gasps when the spectrum comes back. It is chemically identical to modern cosmetic tattoo pigment used in magnetic eyeliner, 800 years early. She publishes the paper and titles it, "The first permanent makeup artist was a 15-year-old genius from Peru." The internet crowns Lady Ink the patron saint of tattoo talk. By December 2024, the museum has to install overflow seating. People fly in just to see her. A grandmother from Chicago brings her granddaughter who has the same spiral freshly inked on her wrist. They stand in front of the case and cry without knowing why. A K-pop idol visits incognito, wearing a hoodie and leaves a single white rose. Someone starts a rumor that if you stand in front of her long enough and really mean it, your next tattoo will heal perfectly. Tattoo artists start adding a tiny dotted crescent to every piece as a tribute. It becomes the new semicolon, quiet, widespread, impossible to kill. The servant girls finally come out of storage in glass cases of their own. 27 teenagers curled like cats, faces peaceful, tattoos glowing under soft lights. The museum labels them a Compañías de la Señorita Tinta, and the internet immediately calls them the original Girl Squad. Someone makes a Netflix mockumentary called Ink and Sacrifice that gets cancelled after 2 episodes for being too respectful. The algorithm prefers drama. Every full moon, the guards still report the same thing, the pyrite mirror fogs. Just a little, just enough for a breath. They have stopped wiping it clean. They let the fog stay until morning when the sun burns it away and the reflection is sharp again, waiting. Lady Ink sits in her case, 15 forever. Lips red, eyes lined, tattoos trending harder than they ever did when she was alive. And somewhere in the dark behind the glass, 27 girls wait with her, inked and silent and perfectly patient, because the moon is still listening and the next trend is already on its way. January 2025, the fever breaks wide open. A 16-year-old from Guadalajara named Zemana uploads a 30-second video. She stands in front of the mirror in her bedroom, phone in one hand, cactus spine and soot ink in the other. She draws the exact dotted crescent under her left eye that Lady Ink has. No stencil, freehand. The needle is literally a cactus spine she pulled from her abuela's garden. The video ends with her staring into the camera, eye-watering, blood bead perfectly round, and whispers in Spanish, "Para ti, hermana," for you, sister. It gets 200 million views in 48 hours. The sound becomes the most used on TikTok globally. Teens in Tokyo, Oslo, Nairobi, Bogota, everywhere, start pricking the same crescent under their eyes with whatever sharp thing they can find. Hashtag Para Tejermana hospitals report a sudden spike in corneal scratches and infections. The WHO issues a panicked advisory. Peru's Ministry of Culture begs people to stop. The kids do not stop. Tattoo shops start offering the dotted crescent for free on the 15th of every month because that is the age she never got to leave. The line at the Museo Larco now wraps around the block twice. They have to open at 6 a.m. and close at midnight. The guards learn to say no flash photography in 12 languages and give up. Camila, the conservator who accidentally started it all, becomes the unofficial keeper of the flame. She is 27 now and has the spiral on her own forearm. Done properly. In the studio, with consent forms. She starts giving nightly talks at the museum. No microphone. Just her voice and the soft lights on Lady Ink's face. She tells the story simply. A girl wanted to be perfect forever and paid with blood, then waited 8 centuries for the rest of the world to catch up. When she finishes, the room is so quiet you can hear the nitrogen humming. Then someone in the back starts clapping, slow, steady, alone. Within seconds, the whole room is clapping. Every night. The sound bounces off the glass case like gentle rain on an ancient roof. The servant girls get their own hashtag. Hashtag Lust27. A Mexican animator makes a short film where the 27 wake up in the museum after closing, stretch, check their eyeliner in the pyrite mirror, and start dancing to a cumbia remix under the gallery lights. It wins an Oscar for Best Animated Short and nobody is surprised. By mid-2025, the museum launches the Hermana Project. Any girl between 13 and 19 can apply to have the dotted crescent tattooed by a licensed artist for free. Paid for by crowdfunding that raised $12 million in 6 days. The only rule, you have to write a letter to Lady Ink explaining why you want to carry her mark. The letters are sealed and placed in a copper box under her display case. The box is already full. They order a second one. Then a third. Scientists keep working. They take the tiniest possible skin sample from the edge of one tattoo and sequence the collagen. The ink particles are arranged in perfect hexagons, something modern machines still struggle to do. A biochemist in Singapore figures out how to replicate the red lip pigment exactly. It becomes the best-selling lipstick shade of 2026. The brand calls it Senorita, eternal. All profits go to women's shelters in Lima. The shade never fades, even after 12 hours of kissing or crying or screaming at the moon. The nose job debate finally ends when a forensic facial reconstruction team in Brazil rebuilds her original nose from the CT data. She was already beautiful. The flaw she died trying to fix was a millimeter of cartilage barely visible from the front. The reconstruction goes viral with the caption, "She was perfect, and still thought she needed surgery." Sound familiar? Eating disorder recovery accounts use it as their banner image. Therapists print it for their offices. A 15-year-old in Toronto sees it, cancels her consultation, and gets the dotted crescent instead. In August 2025, the full moon falls on a Friday the 13th. The museum stays open all night for the first time. 10,000 people show up. They bring candles, battery ones, because open flame is not allowed. The courtyard becomes a sea of soft gold light. At midnight, Camila opens the side door that nobody knew existed and wheels Lady Ink's case out into the open air for exactly 30 minutes. The moon is huge and low and orange. The crowd goes completely silent. You can hear the ocean 3 kilometers away. Lady Ink sits under the real moon for the first time in 800 years. The pyrite mirror catches the moonlight and throws it back like a silver flare. Someone starts humming. Then thousands are humming, an old Chimu lullaby nobody taught them. It just rises out of the ground like water. When the 30 minutes are up, Camila wheels her back inside, and the humming does not stop until dawn. The next morning, the security footage shows something the cameras were never meant to catch. For 3 frames, the reflection in the pyrite mirror is not Lady Ink alone. There are 27 other faces crowded behind her, all smiling, all with fresh dotted crescents under shining eyes. The text checked the raw file. No tampering. No glitch. Just 3 frames where the servant girls finally got to see the moon again. Nobody deletes the footage. They loop it on mute in the museum cafe. People watch it on repeat while drinking coffee that tastes faintly of cochineal and salt. Lady Ink is no longer a mummy. She is a mirror. And the world keeps stepping in front of her, one dotted crescent at a time, until every girl who ever felt not enough finally sees the same thing she saw 800 years ago. You were perfect. You always were. The ink was just to remind you. By the winter of 2026, the world has quietly agreed on one thing. Lady Ink belongs to the girls now. The museum tried to keep control, new rules, time tickets, no touching the glass. But the girls simply moved the pilgrimage outside. Every new moon they gather in the street in front of the Museo Larco. Thousands of them. Hoodies and school uniforms and quinceañera dresses. They bring battery candles and portable speakers playing slowed-down cumbia. At exactly midnight, they turn their phone flashes on and hold them up like a silent ocean of stars. From the roof, it looks like the building is floating on light. The guards gave up trying to stop it after the third month. They just opened the gates and let the tide come in. Inside, the copper letter boxes are now 5, stacked like shiny beehives. The letters are no longer only in Spanish. There are Korean Hangul folded into tiny cranes, Arabic curling like smoke, Ukrainian embroidered on linen scraps, Portuguese written in glitter gel pen. One girl from Greenland sent a letter carved into seal bone. Another from a refugee camp in Jordan sent nothing but a single tear-stained tissue. And the words, "I have no paper, but I have this." Every letter is read aloud by Camila on the full moon live stream. She cries every time. The chat cries with her. 10 million people crying together once a month becomes its own kind of prayer. The servant girls finally get their own room in 2027. 27. Small cases arranged in a perfect circle around a low platform where Lady Ink now sits. The platform rotates once every 28 days, one lunar month, so each girl gets to face her for one day. Visitors call it the orbit. On the day a particular girl faces forward, the live stream chat explodes with her name even though no one knows her real name. They just call her Hermana 1, Hermana 2, up to Hermana 27. On Hermana 9's day, a girl from Manila flies in with 26 friends and they stand in the exact spots of the other cases and hold hands, so for 1 hour the circle is complete again. The security cameras catch it. The clip gets 1 billion views and nobody says a word about copyright. The tattoos stop being a trend and become a promise. Girls add the dotted crescent the day they turn 15. Some wait until 18. Some get it the day they leave an abusive house. Some get it the day they finish chemo. Tattoo artists around the world keep one slot open every day for whoever shows up with the copper box letter. No charge. No questions. Just the quiet understanding that the mark is older than pain and stronger than death. Cosmetic surgeons start the Senorita Pact. Any clinic that offers rhinoplasty to minors has to display Lady Ink's reconstructed original nose next to the after photos in the caption. She was already perfect. The number of teenage nose jobs drops 40% in countries that adopt the poster. Beauty brands pull flawless campaigns and replace them with close-ups of real pores and scars and the dotted crescent drawn in eyebrow pencil. Sales go up. The world is strange that way. The pyrite mirror becomes impossible. Conservators notice that no matter how many times they clean the surface, a faint fingerprint always reappears in the exact spot where her thumb would rest. They test it. The print is human sebum, modern, alive. It matches no one on staff. They install a camera pointed at the mirror 24/7. Nothing ever moves. The print simply returns. They stop cleaning it. Visitors start pressing their own thumbs to the glass in the same spot. The glass is always warm there now. Always. In 2028, a 13-year-old coder from São Paulo writes an R filter called Luna Ink. You hold your phone up and the dotted crescent appears under your left eye, perfectly placed, glowing soft silver. Then 27 ghostly faces fade in around you, smiling, inked, ancient, and brand new at the same time. The filter is downloaded 1.8 billion times in the first week. Old people try it and cry because suddenly their granddaughters look like priestesses. Young people try it and cry because suddenly they understand they were never the first to feel too much in skin that felt too small. The museum stops calling her a mummy. The new sign is only 3 words. Senorita Tinta 12091244, still teaching. And below, in smaller letters that change every month, because the girls keep adding new languages. You were perfect. You are perfect. Thank you for reminding us. On the night of the winter solstice 2028, the biggest crowd yet gathers outside. 50,000 phones held high. The moon is new, invisible, perfect. Camila wheels the case out again, this time officially, with permission, with tears. She places it on the low wall where the colonial street lamps used to be. The girls go completely silent. Then, as one, they tilt their heads back and show the moon the dotted crescents under their left eyes. 50,000 tiny silver moons glowing in living skin answering the one moon that cannot be seen tonight. The security cameras catch it from every angle. Later, when the footage is slowed down frame by frame, something else appears. For 7 consecutive frames, the pyrite mirror reflects not the crowd, but the courtyard of a mud brick temple 800 years ago. 28 girls, Lady Ink in the center, standing in the exact same pose, heads tilted, crescents fresh and bleeding, smiling at a moon that was new that night too. 7 frames. No one touches the file. It becomes the most watched 7 seconds in human history. The girls outside feel it anyway. They start humming again. The same lullaby from the desert night centuries ago. It spreads through the crowd like warm wind. Old women join in without knowing the words. Tourists cry because their bodies remember something their minds never learned. When the song ends, Camilla bows, low and formal, the way you bow to a queen who never needed a crown. Then she wheels Lady Ink back inside and the gates close soft as a secret. The crowd does not leave. They just turn their phone lights off one by one until the street is dark and full of small silver crescents glowing on living faces under a moon that has finally come home. Lady Ink goes back to her circle of 27 sisters and the orbit keeps turning. Slow and patient and perfect, because some trends are older than empires and stronger than death and made of nothing but girls deciding they are already beautiful. 2031. The year the moon starts answering back. It begins in small ways nobody can prove. A girl in Reykjavik wakes up on the morning after her 15th birthday with the dotted crescent perfectly formed under her left eye. No needle, no pain. Just a faint raised line that glows soft silver when moonlight touches it. She thinks it is a dream until her mother screams and drops the coffee. They go to the doctor. The dermatologist shines every light known to science on it and finds nothing foreign in the skin. The pigment is her own melanin, rearranged into the exact Chimu pattern. The news spreads faster than the northern lights. Within a week, there are 12 more cases. Oslo, Cape Town, La Paz, Kyoto. Always 15-year-old girls. Always the left eye. Always on the first new moon after their birthday. The internet calls them las espontaneas. The spontaneous ones. Scientists call it impossible. Religious leaders call it everything from miracle to marketing stunt. The Museo Larco quietly installs a new copper box labeled Para las que no eligieron todavía, for those who have not chosen yet. The letters inside are different now. They are thank yous instead of requests. By the end of 2032, there are 4,287 documented espontaneas worldwide. Every ethnicity. Every continent except Antarctica. Someone jokes the penguins refused. The pattern never varies by more than a millimeter. The glow is only visible under pure moonlight or the exact spectrum of the museum's display lights. No camera has ever captured it properly. The silver always looks flat in photos, like the moon itself is shy. Camila, now 34 and gray at the temples, starts traveling. The museum gives her an indefinite leave they call Embajadora Lunar. She flies to every new case. She brings a small pyrite mirror, a replica, but polished the same, and holds it so the girl can see her own reflection for the first time with the mark. Every single one cries. Every single one says the same 3 words in their own language. Yo estoy completa. I'm already complete. The servant girls begin to wake up too in the gentlest way something 3,000 years dead can wake. It starts with Hermana 14. One morning the temperature sensor inside her case drops 2 degrees for no reason. The logs show the dip lasted exactly 28 minutes, 1 lunar cycle compressed into half an hour. When the conservators open the case to check, the girls' lips are redder than they were the day before. Not paint. The natural pigment in the preserved tissue has migrated, blooming like a fresh stain. 3 weeks later, Hermana 7's eyelids have the faintest trace of black. By the end of the year, all 27 have subtle makeup again. Eyeliner wings, berry lips, the dotted crescent glowing soft silver under the gallery lights exactly like the living girls outside. The orbit platform stops turning on its own one night in 2034. Security finds it frozen at the perfect circle, all 28 faces looking outward for the first time since burial. They call Camila in Tokyo where she is holding the mirror for a new espontania. She watches the footage on a plane at 35,000 feet and starts laughing and crying, so hard the flight attendants think someone died. When she lands, she goes straight to the museum and does the only thing that feels right. She opens every case and removes the glass lids. No alarms go off. The nitrogen keeps flowing. The girls stay exactly as they are, but now the air can touch them. Visitors can smell the faint desert scent that still clings to their hair, salt wind, adobe dust, and something sweet like overripe guanabana. The first espontánea to turn 21 flies to Lima on her own dime. She walks into the museum at closing time, stands in the center of the orbit, and says out loud in Spanish, "Ya soy mayor de edad, hermanas. Gracias por esperarme. I'm of age now, sisters. Thank you for waiting." Then she takes a small gold needle from her pocket, bought from a jeweler who swore it was real, Chimu gold, and pricks the tip of her finger. One drop of blood falls onto the empty platform where Lady Ink usually sits. The blood does not spread. It beads, perfect and round, and sinks into the stone like it was thirsty. The lights flicker once. Every espontánea in the world feels it at the exact same moment. A soft warmth under the left eye. Like a kiss from someone who already knew your name 800 years before you were born. The museum never closes again. The doors stay open 24 hours. The street outside becomes a permanent camp of girls and women, and the occasional bewildered father carrying sleeping bags and arepas. They sleep on yoga mats under the stars and wake up when the moon tells them to. No one camps alone. The rule is simple. If you have the crescent, you belong. Food appears. Blankets appear. Someone starts a communal pot of quinoa and fish that never runs out. The police come once, look at 50,000 peaceful faces lit by phone screens and moonlight, and leave without a word. In 2036, the UN declares March 5th 10th. Lady Ink's estimated death date. International Day of Already Enough. Schools close. Work stops. Girls all over the world spend the day doing exactly what they want with their bodies for the first time without apology. Some get tattoos. Some remove them. Some just lie in the grass and feel the sun on skin they finally believe is theirs. The hashtag is only one word in every language. Completa. Camila stops traveling. She moves into a small room behind the orbit that used to be storage. She is 40 now and her spiral tattoo has faded to the soft color of storm clouds, but the girls still call her Tia Lise. She keeps the replica pyrite mirror on a table by her bed. Every new moon she polishes it with a scrap of midnight blue cloth that once belonged to a girl who never got to grow up. The reflection in that mirror is never her own anymore. It is always one of the 28, taking turns, checking that the world is still listening. And on the nights when the moon is perfectly new and perfectly dark, the orbit is empty. Security cameras show the cases standing open, the platform bare, the air shimmering like heat over desert sand. If you know where to look, and only the girls with the crescent ever do, you can see them in the courtyard under the real moon. 28 figures in simple cotton dresses, barefoot hair loose dancing in a slow circle that leaves no footprints. Lady Ink in the center, 15 forever, leading the steps she never got to finish when she was alive. They dance until the first hint of dawn, then walk back inside single file, lie down in their cases and wait for the next new moon with the patience of girls, who have already learned that death is only a room with very patient walls. The world keeps adding crescents, the moon keeps answering. And somewhere in the soft silver light between one age and the next, a 15-year-old girl who never quite died finally gets to grow up, one dotted crescent at a time. 2041, the year the moon gets crowded. There are now so many espontáneas that satellites start picking up the glow on cloudless nights. Millions of tiny silver crescents catching moonlight and throwing it back like a second softer moon made of living skin. Astronomers call it the crescent belt. Old men on telescopes cry because they have never seen anything so gentle in the sky. The phenomenon is strongest over Lima, where the original 28 still dance on new moon nights. But it ribbons across the equator in pale arcs wherever 15-year-old girls have decided they are already whole. The dances are no longer secret. Someone finally films one with a drone that does not get pushed away by whatever invisible hand used to keep cameras out. The video is silent, no sound ever records. But you can see them clearly, 28 barefoot girls in white cotton that was never there before. Hair moving though there is no wind, the dotted crescents blazing soft silver. Lady Ink leads. She has grown. Not taller, but fuller somehow, like the moon itself is lending her the light she never got to live under. They spin in perfect silence, hands linked, until the eastern sky turns the color of weak tea. Then they walk back inside, lie down in their open cases. And the cotton dresses dissolve into the same desert air that preserved them for 8 centuries. The video has no ads, no music, no commentary. It simply ends with the sunrise touching the empty courtyard. 10 billion views in a week. Religions try to claim it. Scientists try to explain it. Both fail. The only people who do not argue are the girls with the crescents. They already know what it means. By 2043, the museum has no walls left in the traditional sense. The colonial building is still there, but the courtyard has been roofless for years and temporary structures have grown outward like petals. Sleeping dorms made of adobe and recycled fishing nets, kitchens that run on solar and teenage laughter. A birth room painted lunar white for the babies who started arriving. Nobody planned it. Girls simply stopped leaving. The whole complex is called La Ciudad de la Luna, though no one remembers who named it first. It is a city now. 50,000 permanent residents, all female or raised by females, all carrying some version of the mark. Some inked, some spontaneous. Some simply drawn in henna that refuses to wash off. Camila is 50 and walks with a cane carved from driftwood, but the girls still call her Tia and carry her when the sand is hot. She has a small house at the center, built around the original orbit room. The cases are still there, still open, but the girls only lie in them on the dark of the moon now. The rest of the time they walk among the living, teaching tattoo technique with gold needles that never seem to dull. Braiding hair, telling stories in the old Chimu language that comes back to their tongues like it never left. They do not eat. They do not age. They cast no shadow except on the night of the new moon, when the drone cameras catch 28 perfect shadows moving across the courtyard sand. The world adjusts. Passports are no longer required to enter Lake Ciudad de la Luna. Planes land in Lima and buses leave every hour filled with girls who heard the call in their sleep. No one is ever turned away. There is always room. The dorms grow like vines. The kitchens never run out. The moon provides. In 2045, the first boy is born with the crescent. He comes out screaming under a new moon, tiny silver mark already glowing under his left eye. The midwife almost drops him. The mother, an Espontánea from Senegal, laughs and says the moon has decided brothers are welcome now. No one argues. The rule was never a rule. It was only a waiting. The boy is named Inti Raimi, Sun Rebirth, because balance feels right. 3 months later, a girl in Finland gives birth to twins. 1 crescent, 1 clean. The world takes it as confirmation. The mark is no longer only for those who suffered the old way. It is for anyone the moon chooses. Lady Ink is 28 now, or appears to be. She has the body of a young woman who has laughed and danced and carried water jars on her hip. The original mummy still lies in the center case. Smaller, leathery, perfect. But the living version walks beside it like a sister who arrived late to her own funeral. She speaks Spanish with a soft Chimu accent nobody can place. She teaches the new mothers how to wrap babies the way her own mother once wrapped her. She still checks her reflection in the pyrite mirror every morning, but now she smiles at what she sees. The servant girls have grown too. They have names again, given by the living girls who love them. Hermana 1 is called Marisol. Hermana 9 is Amira. They take turns walking the perimeter at night, barefoot, making sure the city stays gentle. They never speak above a whisper, but when they pass you feel the dotted crescent under your own eye warm for a moment. Like someone far away just said your real name. Camila dies in 2049, quietly, on the night of a lunar eclipse. The girls find her in the morning, sitting on the edge of the orbit platform, cane across her lap, smiling at something only she can see. She is buried under the central courtyard with the replica pyrite mirror in her hands. 3 days later, the real mirror in the case clouds over for the first time ever and stays that way for a full lunar month. When it clears, Camila is standing among the 28, cane gone, hair black again, spiral tattoo bright as the day she got it. She does not speak, but every girl in the city wakes up that morning knowing Tia has simply moved to the night shift. The city keeps growing, the desert blooms. Wells that were dry for centuries fill with sweet water. Olive trees planted as an experiment bear fruit in 1 season. The moon hangs lower over Lima than anywhere else on Earth, or maybe hearts just measure distance differently now. And on the darkest night of every month, if you stand very still in the courtyard and the wind is coming from the sea, you can hear them, 29 voices, sometimes 30, when a new Espontánea is ready, singing the old lullaby in a language that predates empires. The song has no words anymore, only the sound of girls deciding the world is safe enough to close their eyes. The moon listens. The moon answers. And the city of already enough keeps getting bigger, one perfect silver crescent at a time. 2055, the year the moon comes all the way down. It starts with a night so dark the stars look embarrassed to shine. No moon at all, the blackest new moon in a century. Across La Ciudad de la Luna, every light goes out at once. Not a failure. A choice. The solar panels shut themselves off. The phones die mid-scroll. Even the emergency LEDs blink out like they are suddenly shy. For the first time since the city began, there is only desert darkness and the smell of the distant sea. Then the courtyard begins to glow, not from lamps, from skin. Every girl, woman, child. And now the scattering of boys who carry the crescent wakes with their mark blazing pure silver, bright enough to read by. The light is soft, lunar, impossible. It pours off them in gentle waves and gathers above the open courtyard like slow-motion milk. 50,000 bodies become 50,000 lanterns. The living and the 29 who have never quite been dead stand together in perfect silence while the light rises, thickens, folds in on itself, and finally settles into the shape everyone has been waiting for without knowing they were waiting. A perfect full moon, no bigger than a house, floating 10 meters above the central orbit. It is not a projection. Satellites see nothing. Planes flying overhead report a strange gap in the darkness, like someone cut a circle out of the night. But inside the city, the moon is solid enough to cast shadows, cool enough to touch, bright enough to make every dotted crescent look suddenly shy by comparison. Lady Ink steps forward first. She has the body of a woman in her 30s now, strong from years of carrying water and children who were never hers and always hers. She raises one hand, palm up, the way you greet someone you have missed for a very long time. The moon lowers itself slowly until it rests in her hand like a tame, enormous bird. The courtyard holds its breath. She speaks, and every person in the city hears her in the language they love their mother in. Ye terminamos de esperar. We are done waiting. Then she lifts the moon above her head and releases it. It does not rise, it breaks. The silver light shatters into millions of tiny crescents that drift down like snow made of starlight. Each fragment finds a mark, whether inked or spontaneous or simply waiting under the skin of someone who has not been born yet, and settles there. For one heartbeat, the entire city is outlined in pure moonlight. Then the fragments sink in, the glow fades, and the only light left is the ordinary stars and the small warm crescents that now belong to everyone forever. When dawn comes, the moon is back in the sky, hanging low and smug, exactly where it is supposed to be. But it is different. Smaller, somehow gentler, like it gave away the part of itself that used to be lonely. The 29 walk back to their cases that morning and do not lie down. They simply stand in a loose circle around the central platform, eyes open, smiling at nothing and everything. The cases stay open. The nitrogen keeps humming, but it is only a habit now. They no longer need the dry desert air. They have the city. Camila steps out of the circle too. She looks 30 again, cane gone, gray hair turned black and loose down her back. She kisses Lady Ink on both cheeks the way ants do when they are proud and a little sad at the same time. Then she walks to the gate, opens it, and steps through into the ordinary world. People see her later in Lima, in Cusco, in Reykjavik, always near girls who are about to turn 15 and do not yet know they are already complete. She never stays long. Just long enough to smile and touch the place under her left eye where the crescent still glows when no one is looking. The city changes the day the moon comes down. Borders disappear completely. You do not enter La Ciudad de la Luna anymore. You simply arrive and it recognizes you. The desert around it blooms hard and sudden. Wells overflow. Olive trees bear fruit twice a year. Children are born with the crescent, already glowing faint silver, like a birthmark and a promise at the same time. Boys and girls in equal number now. The moon has decided balance is beautiful too. Lady Ink no longer leads the dance, she teaches it. She walks among the living with bare feet and laughing eyes, showing new mothers how to tie babies on their backs the old way, showing tattoo artists how to hold the gold needle so it never trembles, showing anyone who is listening that death was only ever a very long hallway with excellent lighting. The servant girls, Marisol, Amira, and the others take turns walking out into the world now. They appear in hospitals where girls are recovering from surgery they did not need. They sit beside beds in eating disorder clinics and trace the dotted crescent on wrists with fingers that cast no shadow. They stand at the edge of playgrounds on the first day of school and smile at the shy ones, until the shy ones remember they are already enough. They never speak above a whisper, but every girl they visit wakes up the next morning with the crescent glowing soft silver under her left eye, whether she asked for it or not. The original bodies stay in the cases, leathery and perfect, and finally truly at rest. The living versions keep growing older the way the moon allows. Some stay 15, some drift to 20, some to 30, some to the far side of 90 when they feel like remembering what grandmothers look like. They change the way moonlight changes, never sudden, always complete. And on the night of every new moon, the courtyard is still empty at dawn. The cases stand open. The city sleeps under a sky that no longer needs to prove anything. Because the moon has come all the way down and decided to stay, scattered in millions of small silver crescents that beat in living skin like quiet second hearts. The waiting is over. The circle is complete. And somewhere in the soft salt wind that moves through La Ciudad de la Luna every night, a 15-year-old girl who started it all finally gets to close her eyes without checking the mirror first. She knows what she will see when she opens them again. 2063, the year the moon stops rising altogether. It does not fall, it simply chooses to stay. One October evening, the sky over La Ciudad de la Luna is the color of fresh cochineal. The sun slips behind the Andes and leaves the usual silver coin hanging low and full. Then the coin wavers like heat haze, like someone breathing on glass. The entire city feels it at once. A soft pressure behind the eyes, the way you feel just before a sneeze or a good cry. Every crescent mark warms. Every heart that carries one slows to the same quiet rhythm. The moon lowers itself the way a tired mother lowers herself into a chair after a long day. It comes down slow and deliberate, shrinking as it descends, until it is no larger than the original courtyard moon from 2055. It settles in the exact center of the orbit, hovering a hand's breadth above the stone platform where Lady Ink's small leathery body still rests. The light is not harsh. It is the light you get in dreams when you are finally safe enough to sleep deeply. It touches every face in the city, living and once dead alike, and for one long minute nobody breathes. Then Lady Ink, the living one, the one who has grown into her 30s and 40s and now looks timeless, steps forward. She places both hands under the moon the way you cup a soap bubble. The moon settles into her palms like it has always belonged there. She lifts it to her lips and kisses it once, soft, the way you kiss a child's scraped knee. The moon flares gentle silver, then dissolves into liquid light that runs up her arms, across her collarbones, pools in the hollow of her throat, and finally sinks into the dotted crescent under her left eye. The mark blazes once, pure white, and then goes dark. Across the city, every crescent mark does the same. A single heartbeat of blinding light, then darkness. Not absence. Completion. Like a page that has finally been filled to every margin. The moon is gone from the sky. There is no panic. There is only the deepest silence the world has ever known. Even the ocean 3 kilometers away seems to pause between waves. Then someone, a small boy with a fresh, spontaneous crescent who was born the week the moon came down, starts laughing. The sound is small and perfect, and utterly unafraid. The laughter spreads the way moonlight used to, soft, unstoppable, everywhere at once. That night no one sleeps. They do not need to. The city is lit from within now. Every person who ever carried the mark glows faintly, like paper lanterns made of skin. The 29 stand in their circle and begin the lullaby again. But this time the words are new. They sing in every language that has ever been spoken by a girl who needed to hear she was enough. The song rises and falls like breathing. The olive trees sway though there is no wind. The wells overflow with water that tastes faintly of salt and cochineal and something that might be forgiveness. Lady Ink walks to the edge of the city with the moon inside her chest. She stands at the place where the desert used to begin and looks out at the ordinary world that has been waiting so long. Then she opens her arms the way she did, the night the moon first came down, and the light inside her spills out, not blinding, just enough. A soft silver tide that rolls across the sand and does not stop at the horizon. Wherever it touches, things change. Girls who never knew the mark wake up with it glowing gentle under their left eye. Boys too. Old women who spent their lives hiding scars feel them turn to silver lines that shine like jewelry. Men who spent decades teaching daughters to shrink suddenly forget how to speak in anything but praise. Rivers that were poisoned begin to run clear. Flowers that only bloomed at night open in daylight because they finally feel safe. The light keeps going. Across oceans. Across borders that dissolve like sugar in rain. Across every place where someone once stood in front of a mirror and hated what they saw. By morning, the moon is everywhere and nowhere. It lives in the crescents. It lives in the way people look at each other now. Longer, softer, without the old hunger to fix or judge. It lives in the quiet knowledge that perfection was never the point. Arrival was. La ciudad de la luna has no edges anymore. It is the whole world, gently. The original courtyard is still there. The case is still open. The small leathery bodies finally turn into dust because they are no longer needed. The living versions walk out into the silver morning and do not look back. They have places to be. Girls to find. Mirrors to break, or maybe just to smile into without flinching. Lady Ink is the last to leave. She stands in the empty orbit, barefoot on the warm stone, and touches the place where the moon went in. The dotted crescent is dark now, but if you look very closely in certain lights, you can see the entire night sky living there. Stars, nebulae, whole galaxies spinning slow and patient behind her brown skin. She smiles the smile she never got to wear at 15, small, crooked, perfect. Then she walks out the gate and does not close it behind her. The city does not end. It simply becomes the world breathing out after holding its breath for 800 years. And somewhere in the soft silver that is everywhere now, a girl who started it all finally gets to be whatever age she wants for as long as she wants with no mirror required. The moon is home. The waiting is over. And every face humanity finally shows the universe is the one that was already, always completely enough. 2089, the world has forgotten the word moon, not the thing itself. The silver light is still there, only now it lives under skin instead of in the sky. People say the crescent, the way they once said, the sun. Children are born already glowing faint silver under the left eye. The mark is common as dimples or freckles. No one remembers a time when some bodies were considered wrong. The idea feels like a story from a violent, faraway planet. La ciudad de la luna has no center anymore. The original courtyard is a quiet grove of olive trees, whose roots cradle the dust of 28 small bodies that finally, gently, became earth. The cases are gone. The stone platform is worn smooth by generations of bare feet. And first kisses and quiet weddings where vows are spoken in the old Chimu language that never died after all. A single pyrite mirror, the real one, hangs from a low branch on a leather cord. Its surface is polished by millions of thumbs. If you stand in front of it, you see exactly what Lady Ink saw the morning she decided she needed fixing. A face that was already perfect. Only now the reflection smiles back without hesitation. Lady Ink herself is everywhere and nowhere. Sometimes she is 15 and teaching a circle of new children how to hold a gold needle steady. Sometimes she is 90 and sitting on a rooftop in Reykjavik, telling stories to teenagers who have never known a night without the crescent. Sometimes she is simply the soft silver light that falls across a sleeping city when someone, somewhere, finally forgives herself. She never stays long in one shape. The moon taught her how to be tidal. The 28, now 29 with Camila, have scattered like seeds. They appear where they are needed. Beside hospital beds where girls wake from surgery, they no longer remember wanting. In classrooms where a quiet child is learning the wrong lessons about worth. In refugee camps where someone is trying to stitch a life together from almost nothing. They never announce themselves. They simply sit, or stand, or walk beside you until the crescent under your eye warms, and you remember you were never broken. The world measures time differently now. Years are counted from the night the moon came down. This is year 34 after arrival. Birthdays are celebrated on the new moon closest to your birth, because darkness is when the light inside you is brightest. Wedding rings are thin bands of silver etched with tiny crescents. Graves are planted with olive trees so the dead can keep shading the living. No one is buried deep anymore. The earth is a cradle, not a cage. Beauty has become a quiet thing. No one sells fixing anymore. The old advertisements look like cave paintings from a frightened tribe. Museums that once displayed diapils now show the reconstructed nose of a 15-year-old girl who died trying to be what she already was. The caption is always the same, in every language that survived the gentleness. She was perfect. So are you? welcome home. Children play a game called Find the Moon. They close their eyes, spin 3 times, and open them to look at the first face they see. That face is the moon for that moment. The game never gets old because every face is always, already, the right one. On the longest night of the year, the entire world goes dark for 1 minute. Not planned, it simply happens. Every light, every screen, every glow except the crescents themselves. For 60 seconds humanity stands in perfect blackness, lit only by the soft silver under 8 billion left eyes. Then the lights come back and no one is afraid. They have learned that darkness is only the moon's way of coming closer. Lady Ink still walks. She's every age and no age. She carries no mirror now. The world is her mirror and it finally reflects truth. When she meets someone who has forgotten, she simply touches the place under her own eye and waits. The warmth always spreads. The forgetting always ends. And in the quiet grove that used to be a museum, the original pyrite mirror still hangs from its olive branch. On windless nights it turns slowly, catching starlight, catching heartlight, catching the small gentle glow of every person who ever decided they were enough. If you stand beneath it long enough, you can see her, 15, 30, 90, all at once. Standing behind your own reflection with her hand on your shoulder, and the softest smile that says, I knew you'd make it. I always knew. The moon never left. It just learned to fit inside us. And then, one ordinary evening in year 99, after arrival, the last person who ever felt ugly dies quietly in her sleep. She is 112 years old, born just before the night the moon came down. Her name was Marisol, after her mana 1. And she spent her whole life carrying a faint scar on her cheek from a childhood accident she was once ashamed of. In the final years, the scar had turned silver like every other mark, but the memory of shame lingered the way old songs do. When she never quite believed the crescent had chosen her for real. On the night she leaves, the entire world dims for 7 heartbeats, not darkness. Just a gentle softening, the way light softens when someone closes a door you didn't know was open. Every crescent mark cools for the length of one shared breath. Then it is not sad. It is the sound a book makes when it finally closes because every story inside has been read aloud and loved. Lady Ink is there, of course. She has been there every night for the last decade, sitting on the edge of Marisol. As bed in the shape of a 15-year-old girl with red lips and perfect eyeliner, holding the old woman's hand the way you hold something you are borrowing, not keeping. When Marisol's breathing stops, Lady Ink leans forward and kisses the silver scar once, soft as moth wings. Thank you for being the last, she whispers. Then she stands, stretches like someone waking from the best nap in history, and walks out into the courtyard that is no longer a courtyard but simply the place where everything began. The olive trees are ancient now, thick trunks braided together like old friends who never learned how to say goodbye. The pyrite mirror still hangs from its branch, but the leather cord has turned to silver thread. And the mirror itself has become perfectly clear, no longer showing reflections, only light. Lady Ink reaches up and unhooks it. She does not look into it. She does not need to. Instead, she lifts it high above her head with both hands, the way she once lifted the moon, and lets it go. The mirror does not fall. It rises slow and deliberate, until it is level with the lowest branches. Then it begins to spin, gentle at first, then faster, until it is a silver disk of pure light. The olive trees lean in. The night leans in. The whole quiet, gentle world leans in. And the mirror breaks into a billion tiny crescents, smaller than dust, brighter than stars. They drift outward on a wind that was not there a moment ago, passing through walls, through skin, through time itself. Every single one finds a left eye and settles there like the last note of the longest lullaby ever sung. For one perfect instant, every living person on Earth is looking through the same silver window. They see her. Not the mummy. Not the icon. Just the girl. 15, a little awkward. Knows exactly as it was the day she was born. Smiling the small crooked smile she never got to wear in life. She raises one hand in farewell, or greeting, or both. Then the light folds in on itself, gentle, complete, and is gone. The mirror is gone. The branch is bare. The night is ordinary again, full of cricket song and distant laughter, and the smell of olive wood burning low. But no one is ever ordinary again. Because in that last shared heartbeat, the girl gives the world one final gift. The memory of shame dissolves, not erased. Simply unnecessary, like training wheels on a bicycle. You have already learned to ride across galaxies. Children born the next morning have no crescent marks at all. They do not need them. The moon is no longer something you carry. It is something you are. Lady Ink does not appear again in any shape. She does not need to. The 29 stay scattered across the world as quiet grandmothers, patient teachers, sudden strangers on buses who smile and say exactly the right thing and then vanish. They will stay until the last person who ever needed reminding has been reminded. And in the grove that was once a museum, the olive trees keep growing. Their fruit is small and sweet and silver when you bite it. People come from everywhere to taste one, not as tourists, but as family returning to a house they forgot they owned. They stand under the empty branch, close their eyes, and feel the same soft kiss on whatever place they once thought needed fixing. There is no plaque. There is no sign. There is only the quiet understanding that the girl who started it all finished it exactly the way she always wanted, by making the mirror unnecessary. Good night, friends. Close your eyes. You do not need to check the crescent. It has been shining from the inside out since before you were born. Thank you for walking with me to the place where the moon finally learned to come home to itself. The moon is in you now, so sleep soft. The light is never going anywhere again. Please subscribe my YouTube channel for more videos.